so that the people on Zoom can hear us.
All right, I will call this meeting to order at 1:02.
Roll call.
Yes. Gosh, I always need a list of people too, and then there's never a list in front of me. All right, I will do roll call. Please say here. Christina Carney.
Here.
Jenny Strickland.
Here.
Shannon Stout.
Here.
Jessica Gates.
Here.
Trina Feldman.
Here.
Kurt Schwiegert.
Here.
Aaron Smith here. Is that everybody? Okay, thank you. Good. All right. Everybody's here. Okay, first item is going over the minutes from February 28th. Did everybody have an opportunity to look those over? And is there any discussion that needs to be had about those minutes? If there's no discussion to be had, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Seconded.
All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Minutes are approved. Next item is citizen comments. Do we have any?
There are no attendees in the waiting room.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, next item is the committee business. And first we have the staff handbook review. So that was something Elena sent out as a part of one of the many attachments for this.
You guys have a long handbook.
Yeah.
We do have a long handbook.
I started reading through it and I'm like, forget it. I'm just going to the red spots.
Just open the floor for any conversation or discussion.
There wasn't a lot of change to it. It was mainly like how you do the meals, I think, and something like that, or the sick time. It wasn't, I think it was just rewording is what it looked like to me.
Did any of you off in Zoom land have any thoughts?
It does look like, one of the places they added was related to criminal arrests and convictions. I don't know if anybody had any discussion on that.
Elena, is there a way to like split the screen so we can, I mean, we probably can't read that from here anyway, so I'd prefer to see the zoomies.
I can open it from here.
Any comments at all?
I'm still looking through it. If you can give me just one more minute.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
This is Shannon. I'm also still looking through it.
I had technical difficulties, so I'm on my husband's computer and I'm trying to navigate my way to it.
Thanks. Is there anything, Elena, that, I mean, there's the red changes. Is there anything in particular that you wanted us to discuss or get feedback on?
Yeah, or was there any reason for the changes?
I don't know if there was reason for the changes because this was updated before I came on. So I'm not sure if there was specific reason for the changes. And I don't see anything that you specifically needed to. There's some things that probably fall under, the DEI discussion points, like they updated the non-discrimination and retaliation policy. And that might fall under something you want to discuss, but reading it, I don't personally see any issues, but we wanted to run it past the committee, the commission.
I can
Maybe-
also share, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll also just share the message that Sadie had sent back in December, I think, when this was drafted. She said, here's the employee handbook update for the DEIC to look at and recommend any changes to. The additions in red are all updates and or required policies that came directly from our insurance company, and the HR department at that company has reviewed and approved the document. So it sounds like the changes are coming from mostly from the insurance company, if not entirely. So hope that's helpful.
If it's coming from the insurance agency or policy, then I don't know if we can even recommend changes if we wanted to.
I think we can always recommend changes. I don't know whether they would follow them, but.
Right. It might be that we can't change the language that the insurance policy put forward, but we could probably suggest additional language to be added
Yeah.
if we felt that there was any clarification or additional info to just, I don't know, words.
This is Shannon. They changed, it looks like they updated something on the ethics policy. And so I followed the website link and it takes you to a place that talks about COVID. So I'm not sure that's the right link.
Oh, the Oregon Government Ethics Commission website?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will look at that.
It's interesting, the entire religious accommodation. There's sections that have been completely removed. But they may just be covered within other buckets that the insurance company suggested. There's updates in the sick leave. I'm sure that a lot of that also has to do with laws that have passed around hourly employees and sick leave. Religious observances leave and accommodation, crime victim leave policy, domestic violence leave and accommodation policy. Those are new sections. New language under alcohol and drug use, abuse and testing policy.
Under the non-discrimination retaliation, I wonder why they took out equal employment opportunity, is it just covered under some other umbrella? Is that not something that has to be in the book anymore?
It could just be covered under somewhere else. I'm noticing a lot of things that were crossed out in an earlier section are new in red down at a later section.
Yeah, there's on page 12, the equal employment opportunity policy is added. I don't know where they took it out. They probably just moved it.
I see that now. Thank you.
All right, is there anything to cause concern thus far, or do we feel comfortable moving forward?
I feel comfortable moving forward. I don't see anything right now.
All right, so I don't think we're not voting on anything. It was just discussion to potentially put forward, and we didn't really see anything that merited discussion yet. So, I mean, I'm sure if we come back, if y'all get a chance to, if you decide to read this in full later and find something in there that would be a good thing to discuss, you can either send it to Elena and we can have an email discussion about it, or just put any concerns forward. Do we want to move on to the charter review? And are we going to discuss at all? It's not on here. A recap from the workshop? Or
So I thought you might want to wait and discuss the recap from the workshop until after the listening session that's happening next
Okay.
Monday.
okay. That makes sense.
Combine those two.
Okay. Okay, so charter review. Identify additional steps. This was part of our goals. It was also attached to the email. Thank you, Elena.
You're welcome.
And I'll just open the floor.
So I know one of the things we talked about was trying to have the purpose and I believe membership sections fleshed out today. So when I was looking at the purpose, I kind of found that that was already in our code. And we could probably just take, I think it was section A of our code and plug that in there for responsibilities. Sorry, trying to find it. So then it would be the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee will advance diversity, equity, inclusion in public processes and decision-making, which is right in our code. I figured that that is a purpose and what we're supposed to be doing.
Thanks, Jenny. That looks good. Anyone else?
Can you say that again?
Yeah,
Can
I
you
don't know if you have our code. Sorry, I have like a colored on one. Our code section and the responsibilities. You can read it there. It's 2.33030 of code.
It's not
I
on
don't
that
have it.
paper that's in front of you.
Okay.
Okay, well, pretty much the purpose would be the DEIC will advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in public processes and decision-making. And that comes straight from the code.
But aren't we advisory committee to the board? So how would we be doing decisions?
Well, we are assisting. So
You are what?
we're advising, so we would advise the city officials.
Yeah, but you said decision-making.
Yes, so we will advance DEI and public processes and decision-making. But the rest of that will all come later in our more fleshed out version of the charter. This is just our purpose. Our purpose is to help with these things. The processes will be fleshed out elsewhere within the document.
So that's what the code language is advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion in public processes and decision-making. That's
Okay.
what the code literally says. So she's just taking the code and putting it into.
Oh,
Thank you.
Because there's another portion in here that is scope that's on the CCC one, if we want to include that. And I kind of figured that's where we could include the rest of that section from the code for responsibilities, because that pretty much shows our scope of work.
You do want to make sure that anything you put in here follows whatever is in the code, because you can't deviate from the code.
right.
Okay.
So since it's already in the code, then that's an excellent way to just move it over.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I like that.
So if
Okay,
everyone
any-
is okay with that, then I believe we would have purpose and also possibly scope done. If we just take the responsibilities section A through F and move that into scope, and then word A so that it can be our purpose.
Yeah, I'm in favor of doing that, just as it clarifies, it just reiterates and makes the code an actual working document for our group.
I'm in favor as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Jessica.
Thanks.
Do we need to vote on this? No?
No, we can write it all out. You
Okay.
can review it and then come back at the next meeting and vote on it.
Okay. So Jenny, are you willing to put together that proposed draft for us so that we can review it at the next language for a vote?
Yep,
Thank you.
you're
Great.
welcome.
Do we have anything else to discuss about the charter? What were the next steps after we identified those two pieces? No, there was more, wasn't there?
The chair position, or is it chair? No, there's a chair and then there's other positions.
The roles.
Yeah.
So you'll want a chair, a co-chair, those kind of roles. And what those roles do.
Okay. And does that language exist for any of the other committees?
Not their specific responsibilities.
Okay. Okay, so whatever we do may help establish sort of a template that other committees can use if they choose to have a charter like this.
I think that a lot of them will say the chair serves for 1 year. That kind of language exists, but not necessarily. The chair is
Specific
responsible
responsibilities.
for, leading the meetings and creating the agenda or whatever it is you decide.
I think it might be beneficial to add like a secretary and co-secretary to help with maintaining the minutes. And if one is absent, the other one can take over that responsibility.
I agree with Jessica.
I mean, we're probably a year in since we've done that, right? So once we define these, we should be discussing that for the committee again, I believe.
So will we be re-voting?
I think, yeah, doing a new opportunity for people to serve on different positions.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, so do we want to, what's on our, I was gonna see what was on our agenda for the next meeting. Is that the 23rd?
It's the 23rd, and we're going to be discussing the workshop and then so the workshop you had with council, having a discussion regarding that, and then the listening session. And then we also had in our goals, so we will have an event update from Commissioner Strickland at the next meeting.
I was just gonna see, I think that should leave us time to have, if everybody comes ready to discuss the committee roles, that should give us enough time to at least get enough information for a draft for that piece. So if you can take time to kind of think about the different needs, we've had over a year now to figure out what we need, to see how meetings operate and how to keep work moving forward. So if everybody can come prepared to the next meeting with the various roles and what they should be, that would be great. Okay. Yeah, toast. Somebody might be making toast. I'm giving you a taste of some smell-o-vision right now. If you want to go put a piece of toast in your toaster and leave it in for too long, it'll be like you're here with us. All right, so the next item is goal review.
Before we move on real quick,
Yes.
can we just talk about, I know that was the two sections we really wanted to work on, but I was curious if we could go over kind of the template that we have for the Clackamas Community College charter and decide what other sections we think we would maybe want to create for our charter, if we think there are more that we would like to take away from it or not.
Sure. So right now, what we have is just what's in that document that was attached. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So in the items that Elena sent us, there's the mission statement, brainstorm document, and that has our mission statement and strategies and objectives that we already had fleshed out. So after today, we will also be adding into it the purpose and scope.
You
So-
do, and you have definitions elsewhere, a separate document with definitions. So you already have that.
I think there's a lot of definitions in the equity lens document, like it could help to
Yeah.
pull some of those in also.
Some of these things such as committee creation is dependent on the council. That is not going to fall under your
Right.
charter.
But there is like the guidelines for interaction as one of the things in the Clackamas. Is there any other document in City of Estacada business that already encompasses something similar to this, or
I
no?
believe the council has similar guidelines for interactions.
So the documents, the document that we use on council is supposed to be used across the board for every commission and committee.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay,
Put that in
so
there.
we would pull the city council guidelines for interaction, whatever that is, and we'll just put it into this document. Okay.
That sounds good for me. And I know for membership, we're coming up with roles, but they also have like a membership little paragraph. And I figured we can also copy that from our code membership section. And A through E on our code membership section could be copied in there, just for more clarification.
And just to complicate everybody's brains a little bit more, so we have printouts here for the proposed code change.
Mhm.
Um,
There
Can you
was just-
context,
yeah, that, you know,
contextualize this?
We heard that specifically, there was one concern regarding the proposed code that you guys had voted on the last meeting. And that is actually in the last bullet point, seek regular feedback from staff, officials, community members. Just where it says examples include early budget discussion and community engagement assessments. And so they wanted to strike that probably.
Just the example piece?
The example piece.
Okay.
But I wanted to make sure before they have their meeting tonight, that the rest of this highlighted portion, which is this, what you liked from the proposed changes, as opposed to what was there previously, all the rest of it, you definitely want to keep, as opposed to if you turn your page over, the existing code.
Elena, can you clarify for me real quick? So
Yeah.
they are interested in adopting the code language that we proposed, just changing that one thing? Because I was under the impression that they wanted to keep their original code.
You know, I haven't heard from everyone, just some comments. So, you know, when it comes before council tonight, it's helpful for you to have, for them to have clarity from you saying, we really like what we suggested here that combines the proposed code changes and the original code changes. We'd like you to keep that. Or if you don't care, you know, you could say, we don't care if you kept the existing code, whatever, that's up to you. It's just nice to have some clarity.
Okay, so there's no consensus and we won't really know for sure until tonight.
Yep, correct.
Just since we're talking about moving things around and me sending you the draft of stuff based on the code, would it be possible for that to be sent out within the next few days once they do adopt the new code?
Yeah, they'll adopt the code tonight and I can send it to you.
Okay,
Just so we make sure we're working with the right version.
Correct, yeah.
If the city council likes everything except for our example, why don't we just take out the example? I'm good with that.
Okay,
I agree.
Yeah, I think we felt good about the proposals we put forward. And so if, I think we want to stick with that and are willing to, you know, make these example adjustments.
okay. Great.
Okay, so now that piece is, just as we keep talking about code and going back and forth about what sections of the code, I was like, well, which version are we discussing? So, okay, so the other categories in the Clackamas one, we said meeting schedule. I don't know if we want to include that because it seems like it may not. I mean, maybe we can put something in that we meet at least monthly, if not more often. I know we're agreeing to meet bi-weekly right now.
Mhm.
Is that critical information to have in here? I'm trying to think of who's going to read the charter. Like, who's our audience? Is it just us? Or is it people who potentially are applying to be on?
I would think it would
The
be people
DEI?
applying.
Mhm.
But we can also have a description when we open up applications as well,
Yeah.
right?
Generally, when we open up applications, we'll have a description and it'll list the time commitment so that
Okay.
people understand when the committee is already meeting and about how long that is, so they know that they're committing to that time commitment.
Okay. So the meeting schedule and the charter may not be as critical as when we put the announcement forward. Okay, and then, yeah, then it had the scope, which we've already talked about. The description of the committee creation, did we?
That is in the code too, I would consider.
Do we feel like that's important to know where this committee came from?
Yeah, it's already in the code, just whip it in there.
Is that in there in the code?
That's what she said.
Okay.
Well, how the committee is created, as in it'll have this many members and not necessarily the historical context isn't in the code. If you
Right.
wanted to include the historical context.
Yeah. I like having historical context. I don't know how the rest of you feel about that.
I do too.
I think it's good to have, especially for this committee.
Mhm. So we should work on a historical context. I'm guessing we can probably look at some of the newspaper articles and also city council minutes that sort of, what do you, Jerry, were you giving a look like, don't talk about that? Just if we all need like dates and
No, I was just thinking of the
Okay.
events that surrounded the events that happened before this commission was created, and it just made me cringe a little bit. I'm sorry.
yeah. Okay, is that something that, do we need to vote if we're going to include that in our charter? Or
No, I would think we'd have to vote. If someone writes up something, we'd
just
have
to
to
agree to
vote
it.
to agree
Okay.
to it.
so does anybody feel like they're a historian and enjoys writing historical documentation of the beginning of the committee? Nobody? Okay. I can try to just at least put the bullet point together for that so that we can wordsmith it together.
Yeah, I would make something really simple. This group came together because of a lot of equity issues in the United States. And that's how it was formed. Something real simple and basic and broad.
Hey group, I would be happy to also provide just a bullet point or brief summary of how I recall all of that unfolding. I helped set up that listening session. I helped, do the sort of administrative side of things, so I can provide you all with, the bullet points as from staff's perspective at least, and you can take it from there if that'd be helpful.
Super helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Taylor.
And I apologize, I was not fully listening. Is there a timeline? Is there a deadline that you would need that by?
No, I mean, I think at the next meeting, we have a couple things to discuss to move this along. So maybe in a month.
Okay, yeah, I think by the next meeting that's long enough, so.
Okay. Okay.
We'll make a note to do that, thanks.
Okay. Subcommittees, relationship to other committees. Those are two other areas. I don't know if those feel like that they need to be a part of ours.
I
What do you
felt that we didn't really need them in there. If we want to have a subcommittee thing that just says when needed, subcommittees may meet or something short like that. But it's not like we have established subcommittees that are working on things constantly.
I like that idea because at some point we may have subcommittees. And then at that point, we can add to it if need be.
Yeah. Okay, then it's the membership, which we're working on, committee member expectations and commitment.
Now, some of this is outlined in the code, such as, you can't miss more than 2 absences, unexcused. Those kind of things are already outlined in the code, and you can just include that in here pretty easily.
Yeah, it doesn't feel
Mhm.
critical. Jenny, I know you read this over. How did you feel about the expectations section?
I figure we're bound to whatever the code says our expectations is. We can't really make our own expectations and expect them to be followed by city council if we say, hey, they broke this rule. They're like, well, that's not our rule. So I figure we can just copy from the code and stay on the safe side of that.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, are we, we feel like we have the sections that we want to flesh out to complete our charter now? Are there any sections that weren't in the Clackamas document? I don't know of any. All right, well, I think let's just move forward with creating the drafts of the sections. We'll see where we're at and maybe we'll be able to look at it and tell that there's a big gaping hole, or we'll say it's great and we can add to it later if we need to.
I know I was going to do the scope and something else, but I can pretty much just, once I get the code, whatever the final draft of that is, once that's sent to me, I can pluck everything out and put it where it needs to be. So I can do more than just the like 2 sections I was assigned and try and have a somewhat cohesive document minus Taylor's input on the historical part until we get that.
Thanks. I think we just
Okay.
assigned you to a charter subcommittee. Party of one.
Fun, cool.
Good news is you're the chair of the committee.
Yep.
Well, promotion already, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I think we are moving on to goal review.
Mhm. So you're knocking
Can I-
out the.
Aaron, can I say something before you guys move on?
Yep.
Okay, so the document, I think Elena said she was gonna send out the the council's I don't know if it's ethics or whatever, but how we interact and, council rules basically. So just make sure that when you guys get that, go through it, read it. I mean, because again, all commissions and committees are supposed to follow those same rules that we follow. So just read it really well, go through it with your equity lens. If there's anything in there that, that stands out that needs to be changed, I mean, that's just another opportunity for you guys, but definitely read it. Go through it, really well, fine tooth comb, read it and hopefully understand it. We can hopefully every committee will put that into use and everybody can work together better.
Thanks. And maybe we'll create a template based off of the document that we put forward that we can share with other committees so that they can all have, if they choose to do this, then have similar, they'll look cohesive across all the city committees. Okay, back to goals.
So your first goal was finish developing the charter. And if you bring it all back at the next meeting, you should knock this one out.
Can we have this printed and have like a giant Sharpie so we can
Yeah.
big check marks
Big
or
old check
something
marks.
next to
Yes.
things?
And then below that was gather demographic information. And I know that Taylor had sent out an email. We're starting the transportation system plan update. And as part of that update, they are required to provide a community profile, which is going to provide us with a lot of that demographic info. So no use duplicating efforts when they're already going to do this. So before the meeting that you are having with the transportation system plan regarding that, they will have a community profile for us.
At what point should we discuss that email also that we received about participating in?
You can discuss it now if you want to.
Did anybody respond
Taylor?
to the request?
I heard from a couple of you who were not, sorry, I just want to clarify, you're asking about the request for advisory committee participation?
Yes, for that quarterly meeting. I think that was that what it was?
Yeah,
It's
I
4
think I-
times. It's not necessarily
Oh, okay.
quarterly.
Right, it's
Okay.
not quarterly, and I can tell you the rough timeline here too. But I think I only heard from folks who were not interested. If from this committee. Correct me if I'm wrong. If any of you reached out to say you are or might be interested, please speak up. But I think I only heard from one or two who could not or didn't want to participate.
I think if you have the rough timeline, that would be helpful.
Yeah, one moment. Okay, so the current schedule calls for stakeholder group meetings in late June or early July of this year, late August or early September. The third meeting would be late January of next year, and the last meeting would be late June of next year.
And can you remind us, was the idea that we would have one person that could attend all of those, or that we could possibly take turns attending, or that wouldn't make sense because then you don't have continuity of information?
It would be fine to take turns attending because, and I would say normally we would not prefer that, but the DEIC is going to have occasional briefings on the project. So we're already intending to keep you all updated throughout the process anyway, as a whole group, so that you can discuss things as a whole group. But it is ideal for us to have at least one committee member attend each of these stakeholder group meetings, just because we're likely to get a little deeper into the weeds on some of the information in those meetings than we might be able to at one of your briefings. And yeah, I guess that's probably the biggest reason to have somebody from the committee attend each of those stakeholder group meetings.
Do you know if the meetings are going to be like during the weekday, like normal business hours, or not?
Yeah, I think we are intending to schedule them for either 3 to 5 p.m. or 4 to 6 p.m. It's always tricky with these kinds of advisory committee meetings because, half of your group are like agency representatives, so they're attending
As a part of their job, yeah.
Half of your group is like community.
I'm willing to attend them.
Yeah,
If you give me a dates, I'm willing to attend them. It's interesting to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we can probably scrape together enough participation to have somebody there for every meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So Trina, I will mark you down as interested. And then, yeah, anybody else who is interested, feel free to think about it, over time, and just let me know. But I'll make sure to keep you all updated as we get these meetings scheduled, so that if you want to attend, that's fine and great. And honestly, if multiple people wanted to attend on the same day, that would be fine, as long as we don't make a quorum. So yeah, I'll just keep you all posted. And thank you for that, Trina. I'll mark you down.
Yeah, my schedule's wide open. I got a job though. I volunteer 2 hours a week every Friday. Besides that, I'm open.
Yeah, I doubt we will schedule these meetings for Friday, so.
Especially in the summer, don't do that. Okay, back to goals.
Back to goals. So next was develop an engagement plan, and we didn't plan on doing that until looks like we're discussing it first in October. So got a ways to get to that one. And then the development of the equity lens is going to be the further discussion of that at your next meeting. Commission vacancies, develop recommendations. We have that discussion date for 8/8. And then event, partner with other community groups. And this would probably be a good time to discuss the email from Nicole from the Arts Commission.
Yes. Jenny, you look like you want to talk.
I was
No?
just gonna say, I talk to Nicole often, so I can talk to her about this whenever we decide. I think it sounds like a great event. So if we're all in agreement, I can try and get some more info from her.
Yes, I don't have the email in front of me, but I know it was an October
Yeah, so
event.
the library is having a Dia de los Muertos Hispanic Heritage Month celebration in October. And I believe they're hoping to partner with Ant Farm Nuevo Futuro
Mhm.
on that event. The Arts Commission is also going to be collaborating, and we would like you guys to participate in that.
Yes,
So it sounds like a good fit.
yes. Anybody have anything to discuss about it? Otherwise, we can let Nicole know that, yes, we would be interested. Any discussion?
No,
Nope. Okay, okay. Thanks, Jenny.
Just generally speaking, as I seem to be the events liaison here, we are somewhat limited in what we can do, I believe. I don't believe we have any sort of funding. So what exactly should I be proposing as our contribution to events? I know for the Art Back event, I talked to Katinka and I told her we could volunteer or have an informational table to promote outreach. Haven't heard back from her on that, but is there anything beyond that we can offer?
I think it's just people power and representing the committee and supporting the events in whatever ways that they see. But yeah, we don't have a budget, but we can be there and help.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. I would say if somebody's willing to attend their committee planning meetings, the event planning meetings, something might come out of that makes a good fit. So, whether it's helping develop promotional materials like posters and flyers, or maybe find sponsors.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So maybe Jenny just proposed that, like if they're going to have specific meetings where they're discussing it, to let us know and somebody can hopefully join them.
Maybe, helping to get the word out to those underrepresented community members, get the word out to the, to the people that we're supposed to be helping.
Yes.
Alrighty, I will propose all of that then. Thank you.
Okay. So that takes care of so you've already reached out to Katinka. That's the July mural event. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and I know Elena said we'll discuss that at the next meeting, but just a quick rundown. I have the email in front of me. And she said the event would be from 1 to 5 on Sunday, July 31st. 4th Avenue will be closed from Broadway to Main. There'll be 2 bands, a mariachi band and a pep band, and they'll be painting a design in the street. May have an oral history booth and kids games and a youth mural. So I told her we'd be happy to have volunteers with some of the events they're planning in a table if they're interested, and waiting to hear back on if they are or not.
Thank you. Okay, so that's the goals rundown. Did you have anything to add to that, Elena?
Nope, that was the last goal.
Okay, I think this sheet's going to be really helpful for helping us quickly gather the information to share at quarterly city council meetings also. So if we kind of stick to the schedule or keep it as a living document, then it's pretty packaged and ready to go. We can see what we worked on during the quarter, since that's going to happen regularly. And I hope you all take the opportunity to volunteer to be the spokesperson. Thanks to Shannon for doing it last time. She did a great job. Okay, we are now at the committee comments section. What time is it? Oh, yep, we still have a couple minutes. I know we're trying to get done by 2. Christina has a meeting she has to lead soon. So just an opportunity. Let's go around and see if committee members have anything to share? Does anybody want to start?
I guess this is a comment I was gonna ask. Is there any way to add into our agenda, kind of like go over emails, like a portion for that? Because I know we kind of covered it because it was a workshop, so not as structured. But I know we've started to get a lot more emails than we used to get. So I just want to make sure that nothing slips through the cracks.
So like a committee
So
correspondence.
Yeah, we can add correspondence to the agendas from now
Okay,
on.
and that can maybe then be any of the requests for us to serve on advisory boards or team up with another committee or, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like our dance card.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Mhm.
All right, Shannon. Do you have any committee member comments?
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you for letting me do the minutes. It's helping me to dig further in and understand what we're doing better. And I'll be sending those minutes to Elaine. Is that right?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. And I'll probably send you, I'll be sending you an email too to ask some questions. But thanks for
Happy to help.
guys and excited to work on that arts project as well with everyone.
Yes.
Did you do the minutes for the new revised February ones?
I'm working on it. Yep.
Well, the one that we approved.
Oh,
Did she do that one or?
no, I did not do that one. No.
Okay.
Oh, well, that was done really well. I was gonna compliment you on it, but,
Well, I'll make sure it looks like that then.
okay.
Yep, just use the agenda as
Yeah.
the template.
It looked good.
Trina, you can go next.
Oh, great. I don't have much to say. Thanks for making the meeting run efficiently today. It was really good. Thank you.
Christina.
Well, I want to thank Shannon for taking the minutes. And I think that's a great idea that Jenny had to add correspondence to the agenda on the meetings. And I just want to thank everyone else for your time and being on the committee and serving the community.
Thank you. Kurt.
I'm good. I just gotta get into town. My credit card got hacked over the weekend.
Oh,
so
no.
I gotta get to Rivermark.
Okay, well, we're wrapping up here shortly. So
Yep.
Protect your credit at all costs.
Yeah.
Jessica.
Yes, thank you everyone for your time and dedication. And I always appreciate all that you put into the DEIC. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just say, I'll just add on top, keeping on the thank yous. Elena, I want to thank you for helping us sort of, get a plan in place. The goals, I think, is going to be really helpful for helping us move forward. And I would love to see a video of our very first meeting compared to where we are now, because it's being half in Zoom, half in person. It's still not as functional as it could be, but I think we have come so far and we're actually moving forward, checking boxes, we're doing stuff, and the rest of the community, I think the other committees are starting to see the value of partnering with us, which I think is great. And that's going to help propel us forward and understand our roles in the community even more. So thank you all for coming ready to work today. On that, do we have
Wait,
any?
wait,
me. Jerry, sorry, Jerry. You
Don't
don't get to
forget
talk,
me.
Jerry. Sorry. Oh, Jerry, go.
Hey, I just wanted to apologize for not being there in person today. I think I've died 3 times this week. Whatever this is that's going around has really, really just kicked my butt.
Oh.
But I just want to thank you guys for everything that you guys do, the work that you put in. Taylor and Elena, amazing always, getting us all the information that we ask for. I really appreciate it. And you guys putting in the effort, participating is, you can really see a difference from where this committee started to where you're at right now. And it's really, really promising seeing the change in the movement you guys have made. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Do we have any citizens in the queue?
No.
No citizens in the queue. Okay, so with that, I will call this, this meeting is adjourned at 1:57. Thank you.
Right, bye.